quick intro. I'm a co-founder of Sapiens Analytics. So Sapiens is an enterprise product which helps employer improve the output from the organization. So we have to sell it to CIOs, we have to sell it to CEOs, we have to sell it to delivery organization. So I'll share some of the experiences and especially the role of founder in getting your first, I would say first 5 customers. Because after 5 customers, a lot of network and a lot of effect can come in, but it is really challenging to acquire first 5 customers. Okay, next slide. Value that they are getting from the product, and you all can fine tune that to take it to the next 6 customer or 7 customers. But I can tell you, like, even for the first 5 customers, you don't have to offer a product for free. People are willing to pay if it is solving the problem, if it is adding value to them. So all our first 5 customers were paying customers, and they paid not the least price, but a very reasonable price, and you need not offer it for free. Means you can offer a trial period, but ultimately they are willing to pay if they are getting a value from the product. Yeah, that's all.
Thanks, how many people have changed their minds now? Earlier when we did the spot poll, 50% of people said they were out selling. How many people have made up their mind that they want to go out and sell now? Raise your hands, please. Okay, that's not bad. So at least there are 3 or 4 converts. That's a good outcome, Hemant. Now, I'm going to relate one thing that an investor told me. I'm going to give credit to Ashish Gupta of Helion. What he told me was that in a startup, the founders have to be like a Renaissance salesperson. They have to go out with a glint in your eye to sell because the product is not fully formed. You're forming your ideas even as you're talking to a customer, and you need that glint in the eye and the conviction to be able to sell it. It's a total contrast from what he termed as a quota salesperson. A quota salesperson is good when you reach a certain degree of maturity. You hire people who know how to make calls, how to close deals, how to work through a customer ecosystem. So I thought that was a great comparison, Renaissance salesperson versus quota sales system. Let me ask another question to this room here. How many of you have used yesterday and today to already close some deals? These are all B2B customers, right? How many of you in this room have actually found customers in this community? 1, 2, 3. That's not 4. Okay. So our next speaker is someone who actually did that as his early selling strategy. I'm going to call upon Shivku here. Shivku is the CEO and co-founder of Exotel, smart virtual phone numbers for businesses. Now they have 500 customers today, including big ones and small ones. The big ones include Groupon, Redbus, and Godrej. His formula for selling at the early stage is to use his personal networks as the building block to create a good sales strategy. Over to you, Shivku.
Thank you, Shrikant. I actually seen the presentation after I prepared it, so I actually don't know what is the first slide. Can we switch? Even as he is trying to bring my presentation up, I'm going to use this 2 minutes to pitch. So we sell virtual phone numbers to companies in India. The fundamental difference between this virtual phone number and let's say the SIM card in your pocket is that it can receive or make more than 1 phone call at the same time. Theoretically, it can scale infinitely. Of course, finally, the calls itself will finally land on your cell phone, your partner's cell phone, and employees across the country. Along with this virtual phone number, we also give tools that are relevant for your sales, marketing, and support departments. Because it sort of does a 360 degree of voice and SMS requirements, we tend to call Exotel a business phone system on the cloud. Now, while I did take my 2 minutes and pitch, and I also found a bunch of customers in the last half a day or so in NPC itself, this pitch actually is very, very important. I hope that the pitch itself was very relatable, so I talked about something that you had in your pocket, I talked about a phone number which you could relate to, etc. And one of the key things about using the network to be able to do that sell is to be able to really get that crispness in that pitch. Right? So I really just said like 3 sentences, and in your mind, if you're thinking, oh wow, okay, that sounds like something that I could use, I've achieved the job. And so all of this, I'm just making it up even as we are getting the PPT up. Okay. So, the story really is that I've actually been interested in doing a startup for a very long time. 2 years into my corporate job, they were paying me more than what I deserved, I thought. And I knew that this is not really where my intellectual property this is not how my intellectual property should be used. And so I started attending conferences such as this one. I was a volunteer of NPC 3 years ago, I think, 3 years ago. And I used to just hang out in all kinds of conferences, RubyCon, this and that, JS Food, tech, non-tech. And of course, things like financial modeling, how to use PowerPoint, etc. was also very interesting for me. So I used to attend those kinds of conferences too. And I really... I used to attend those kinds of conferences too. And I'm sort of connecting the dots here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to forget about this presentation. So I was in, so I was basically saying that I'm connecting the dots backwards. So at that point in time, I was truly curious about what people were doing and why they were doing, because I was interested in learning what they were doing. And so really what I would do is, hey, I don't recall, but that's fine. But whoever did recall, I did get a chance to do 2 things. One, to pitch and to validate my idea. And number 2, hopefully also will make a customer. So the title here is basically about 3 years of startup networking baggage really came of help when I actually did my first startup was B2C, so there was nothing really in the conferences for me. But the pivot that happened to be B2B, and some of these contacts actually came to be very helpful for my second startup. So if now that you're here and it looks like a mela, there are so many people here, I think you should totally go grab as many visiting cards as you can right now and start selling. So the cool thing there, of course, is we were selling to SMEs, and quite frankly, it wasn't like I sat and thought about a product that SMEs could start using. It just so turns out that most of the people that I knew in the B2B space were startup guys who are my friends, and startups are SMEs. So it just so turns out my product actually is a SME product. So it was sort of very backward front, if you will, the way the product sort of evolved. So I talked about all of that. Yes, and it also helped me in hiring the first few people as well, and so forth. So there is no such thing as a wasteful network connection. So either they are your customers, or you're going to hire them, or they're going to tell you somebody for whom your product might be useful. So absolutely talk to everybody. And I think this is it. We can go to the next one. So I actually went back to my first 20 customers. I don't know if you all can see the bottom one below, but I just wanted you all to just quickly glance through, and this is real world data. So this is what actually happened, and you can see here that all the first 20 customers are people whom I personally knew. And all of them happened because I met them somewhere. So I think that's really the takeaway from my side for you all today. I think there's one more slide on takeaways. The interesting thing here is to not be stupid. So you really don't want to be pushy and irritating. So you need to know where to draw the line. So mostly, startup founders are smart people, charismatic people. So hopefully you have it in you, but just ensure that you don't cross the boundary of privacy and stuff.
Abhijit Bose is the CEO and co-founder of EasyTap. It's an integrated MPOS company. Abhijit is a strong, we heard about SMEs here. Abhijit is a strong believer that startups can and should focus on large enterprises as well. There's nothing to be scared of. And he's borrowed from his past experiences of working at places like Siebel to create a strong enterprise sales model. And we thought it would be particularly useful because most startups tend to move up gradually, starting with SMEs and then mustering up the courage to sell to enterprises. Here's a contrarian, so welcome Abhijit.
Thanks. So maybe go to the first slide. So I am a contrarian. The model we took, at least it works for us, is to start with large enterprises and actually move down. EasyTap is a company that turns a mobile handset into an intelligent point of sale. We have a hardware device, a mobile application, and a back-end platform. Now, we interact with 2 types of enterprises, actually. We interact with banks. At the end of the day, when you take a payment, the money has to land up somewhere. So banks not only are a necessity for us in terms of turning on a merchant, they also are a distribution channel. So they're very important in helping us scale. The second type of enterprise we interact with is the end customer itself. That can be a small restaurant or it can be a large e-commerce insurance company. I think one of the interesting things about us is we're in a sector that's gained a lot of popularity in other markets, primarily with companies that sold completely to SMEs. I think one of the fastest growing companies in the Bay Area actually is in our space and focused completely on SME under penetration in this space. We didn't do that. When we launched in India, we thought that not happening in a developed market. We've talked about networks. I can't reinforce that enough. Obviously, getting your first references are critically important. So whatever you can do to make sure you have a paying, measurable references are critical. But one of the key things we thought about was in an emerging market, it's hard to get consumer confidence and traction and adoption if you're just going into a small shop you don't know and you see them use some sort of new technology. We felt that the value proposition was equally strong for a large insurance company like Bajaj as it is for a small restaurant. So if we could get those guys using it, not only can they prime the pump and get the flywheel moving, give us good revenue, pressure test the product, the pricing and the value proposition, but they also would be very, very visible. So as we started moving down market, a merchant who saw it being used by Flipkart or Bajaj would have no issues walking into a restaurant using the same service. So there was a consumer mindset reason also for thinking about enterprise beyond just cold hard cash to start the company. So enterprises are good. They also allow you to create a global and replicable model. In large enterprises, it's solution selling in my mind from a large point of view, whereas SMEs are more about distribution and go-to-market and sales. Taking a cookie cutter product that you've essentially configured and selling it through channels. Very, very market specific. However, if you could solve a problem for insurance, e-commerce, FMCG in one place, you very much could move across markets very easily. That allowed us to position ourselves as a leader in emerging markets, not just an Indian company. Which, by the way, makes your addressable market bigger. It makes your ability to sell easier. And quite frankly, it makes your ability to raise funds easier. And finally, when you do get face-to-face with very, very tough negotiators, companies like these, they help you very quickly pressure test your value proposition, your pricing hypotheses, and your product viability. So it allows you to quickly go in. It also allows you to sell before you build. And obviously you need some sort of working product. But I think Hemant said it, sell. I mean, I never believe in a free prototype. Free pilot. You should be able to sell. If you can't sell, you're doing something wrong. So it allows you to sell, build, pressure test what you're building, make sure it's flexible, and then ultimately see if people will buy it. And then you can actually start creating templatized versions and go down market. Next slide. I think I've talked on all of these, so I won't spend too much time. These are the key points. The only other point, 2 points I'll make on this. Don't underestimate enterprise. As I said, I'm in a market where all of my proxies from fundraising point of view are huge SME plays, and we are going after SME, but that's go-to-market. But enterprise will get you your first 100,000, 200,000 users in India easily. And across a region, you can get your first 1 million to 2 million users easily at very high margins. It's a forgotten, unsexy segment, but it's a very good way to get the flywheel moving, as long as you're smart about drawing clear lines so that your product doesn't get diluted. The second thing I'll mention is that when you have partnership strategies, like I mentioned with our banks, at the end of the day, when you're a startup, you don't have a lot of leverage. Whether it's a large SI company or a bank or whatever it may be, the ability to win a deal on your own and show that you're driving the deal and not them is critically important. And our partnerships include Citibank, who have a very strong relationship at the global level, American Express. These are big companies who wouldn't notice us, except for the fact that we were able to uniquely drive sales that they weren't able to get, numbers that they weren't able to achieve in a short period of time. And they care about it. And finally, think global, as I said. Once you get a solution, I won't go through the case study, but we looked at Africa and looked at India. And we said, you know what? It's about business model. It's about as much as it is product. We were able to go very quickly to Africa. And when we met the bank, they said, we've seen so many of these type of companies. Why you? We went and we closed a deal with the largest FMCG company that was highly customized, SAP integration. That's the CEO of MasterCard who came in for our launch. It reinforced the point I was making. All of a sudden you prove your worth, you become a close partner, and these guys only want 1 or 2 partners, and now we're expanding very, very quickly. That's it.
Thanks.
Because there really isn't any quota sales happening. You have to build the product as you go along. you're also, I'm not technical at all. My background has been in business development and marketing, but always in technology. So, and my passion is creating. So I can build a product from scratch, but of course, you do need to have the technology background, and there has to be a product. But when we went into Rolls-Royce, we hadn't done technical documentation. We built it from scratch with them, which meant my pre-sales effort was me. The technical pre-sales and prototype took all of 2 hours. Because we had Rolls-Royce, they didn't want to see anything else, right? So that really is my message. Scaling up is only why I size, because this particular SI, I don't have to engage a delivery team because they're going to be trained to deliver. I sell my license, and that's pure margin for me. Thank you. I'm ahead of time.